Y'all, if you really want your child to learn how to advocate for themselves and to voice their opinions when they believe that something is wrong or they would like to seek some type of change, whether it's as simple as school lunch or, expanding school lunch statewide for, low income communities, it's important that you encourage your young person to get involved and engage in student government. And I think that when people hear about student government, they think of the traditional, join student government, do homecoming parades and stuff like that. And again, that's a part of it. But like I've shared with you all before, my student government process was a little more unique, in my opinion, because my mentor, Neville Adams, taught us how not only to prepare for, stuff like homecoming and prom and all the other stuff, but how to legitimately go out and advocate. So what did that look like? How to create a petition around an issue, right? How to build coalitions, how to network, how to go to community events and network with politicians, how to really fine tune those soft skills that you need in order to be able to advocate effectively in order to seek a change that you want outside of just simply complaining about it. That was my experience. When I was on the Prince George's County Board of Education, there was conversations about cutting funding for advanced placement because we had lost some other funding, and so we had to make up for it budget-wise. And because of the mentorship and guidance that I received from my mentor, Neville Adams, on how to advocate effectively, I was able to advocate alongside several other school board members to ensure that the school system, I believe, found $500,000 in the budget to ensure that those students for that year that I was there was able to take that advanced placement exam for which they had been promised that they could, right? Something else that was huge. I participated a while ago in the creative writing program at Hyattsville Middle School, where I had to actually audition the whole nine. And for whatever reason, I don't remember everything verbatim, but the program no longer met whatever the state accreditation standard was or whatever it was. And, the school system had decided that they were going to abruptly, permanently shut down that program. And I was able to effectively advocate by way of creating a petition, by way of going to parent-teacher conferences, or meetings rather, meeting with local PTAs and elected officials, and then, like I said, launching a petition in order to ensure that that program was permanently reinstated. And as far as I know, that program is still in place, right? These are the types of things that I was able to do on top of also advocating to lower the voting age to 16, in the city of Hyattsville. And when I say lower the voting age or talking about some of the advocacy work that I've done, I'm not asking you all to agree with what I did. I'm more so trying to get you to understand the principle in what I was able to do when I was in high school, right? So it's not necessarily whether or not you agree with me. It's more so I want you to pay attention to the fact that I was able to do these things in high school, which is, unfortunately unheard of oftentimes when you think about your traditional, young person being involved and engaged in student government, right? And so it's important, in my opinion, again, that you encourage your young person, right, to take up student government as one of the electives. I'm not saying they gotta always be in student government, but the same way that we put priority on football and basketball and all these other sports, start looking at student government as one of those things, because once you graduate high school, middle school, whatever your case might be, advocacy doesn't stop once you graduate. Advocacy doesn't stop once you graduate college, right? Whether it doesn't stop once you go to trade school. You have to be able to learn how to advocate for yourself and know who you are, or try to at least learn who you are, because if not, society will define it for you. And there are so many different soft skills that I've learned on public speaking, how to network, how to build relationships with people, how to advocate, that have benefited me in my adult life, and then also, in my political life, because I decided to still be involved and engaged in politics as I got older. But again, a lot of people that I talk to, not beating anybody up, but a lot of people that I talk to, they say, well, I'm not going to be involved and engaged in politics or government because it's just too messy. Well, you really don't have a choice. You can either, be a bystander and allow people to vote certain ways for you, or you can make a decision to at least be involved to the point at which you know a little bit about what's going on, or the people that's running, you know, for different offices and stuff like that, and vote, you know what I mean, and get involved. Or like I said, you can allow these people to continue to vote on issues that may not necessarily benefit you or represent you or your interest, and say, well, I'm not gonna get involved because it's too messy. But either way, you don't really have a choice. You're just choosing not to be involved because you assume that everything is messy. But things are messy at your job, right? Things are messy, you know, in sports or other things that you watch. But it's just, you know, you determining that, you know, I'm going to still be aware to the best of my ability of what's going on, so that people don't take my vote for granted, and my advocacy work. So these are just several other reasons for why I believe you should encourage a young person to be involved in student government. You don't necessarily have to have 4.0 GPA to be involved in student government, right? Like, we have to change the misconceptions associated with being in student government, and realize through exposure that there's so many benefits that students can get from it. I got a $20,000 scholarship being on the Prince George County Board of Education, right? Wouldn't have known that. Was able to travel. I went to I went to Miami Beach. I went to Denver, Colorado. Like, all this stuff happened during my academic year, my senior year, to be at conferences and conventions. I was able to get letters of recommendation that helped me out. You know what I mean? Building coalitions with people, you know, beyond just, you know, the state of Maryland, that have benefited me as an adult. So with that being said, y'all, encourage your young person to be involved and engaged in student government, or at least just know what's going on, because it's going to benefit them once they graduate and do whatever they decide to do, whether it's college, whether it's a trade, or whatever. Love you guys. Have a phenomenal week, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.